Hi and welcome back to my channel for an artist trading card tutorial. I'm starting with two pieces from some scrapbooking paper, and they are measuring 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. That's the traditional size for an artist trading card, and I have covered them with a thin layer of gesso. I'm going to cover it with acrylic paint, and here I'm using the fluorescent pink. And I just apply it with my fingers. I do it just intuitively, and I'm just playing with the color. It's almost not visible on camera, but the pattern of the designer paper will still peek through the acrylic layer. And so when the cards are finished, you still can see some of these floral patterns. While the pink is still wet, I blend in the yellow, and I'm working on a piece of copy paper where I already cleaned some stamps, and I just scribble leftover paint on it, and it will be a nice collage paper later. If you know my videos, you also know that I love to work with these random kind of papers. I dry both cards with my heat tool. You have to be a little bit careful not to overheat the acrylic paints because it can create some bubbles. And then I go in with that light blue acrylic that I have already on my desk. I'd like to share two different options how you can apply the paint on top. I picked that blue color because it has a very high contrast against the background, which increases the dimension of the piece. And here I'm using just my finger to make some marks. And on the other card I'm using a stencil to create a pattern. The stencil that I'm using is from that's Crafty, and it has the perfect size for an artist trading card. I'm applying the paints just with my fingers. You can of course use a makeup sponge instead. If you want to see some photos of the artist trading cards, you just can check my video description, and there I have linked up the blog post. While the cards were drying, I have stamped my main images, and I'm using flowers from my loose floral stamp set, and I embossed them in white to watercolor cardstock. And here I just ink up the edges of the artist trading cards with a Pitt artist pen, and it's just to give it kind of a frame, and I think you can immediately see that there is a huge difference between with no black edges and with black edges. I think the colors pop out even more. Now I add some more black texture with a texture stamp. I'm using the black ink here because I wanted to get a really high contrast, and the black is perfect against the blue and the pinky yellow color. And it also creates a next layer and gives the pieces more dimension. I can say that I would prefer the piece with the stencil pattern because it's just more different than just applying the paints with the fingers. I'm also using a star stamp to create even more texture. I believe those textured stamps are from my Watercolors stamp set, but I will link up every stamp set I'm using here in the description box. I cut out some of the flowers I've embossed before and they are not colored in. I will do this now with watercolors. I just do some loose coloring. I think it matches the style of the cards best when it's loose and quick. The embossing acts as a resist against the watercolors, which bring back the details of the flowers. The paper that I've used for the flowers is the Canson XL watercolor paper. I really like it for stamping because it has a very smooth surface and you can get good impressions, but I don't really like it for watercolor painting. It's okay for such a quick and loose coloring, but when you create layers and really more detailed paintings, I don't like it because the colors dry really light in comparison to all my other watercolor papers, and also you get these blooms because the paper doesn't soak in much of the paints, so they always swim a long time on top, and then you get these puddles of water and color, and I don't like that. Before I glue down the flowers, I want to add some green sprinkles on the cards, so I have something of the green also on the cards or on the background and also in my leaves. And herefore I'm using the ATC metallic acrylic, and I don't use them very often, but they are really nice. I think I just always forget that I have them in my stash. And I mix the green color with water and then I create some splatters. One thing I like to mention for maybe those of you that doesn't know and those of you that are watching from Germany, I have all my videos uploaded to my German YouTube channel. I think it's about the last 6 weeks, and I will continue uploading every video also in German. There is a link to the other channel in my video description. If you want to see more artist trading card videos, you can check the info box on the top right corner of the video screen. I have linked up some other ATC videos. And when the splatters are dry, I am able to adhere my flowers and also a sentiment. The sentiment is from the Flowers Gone Wild stamp set, and it's embossed in white to black cardstock. For the back sides of the artist trading cards, I'm using a stamp from our ATC Backsides stamp set, and I just stamp it to a piece of paper and then stick it to the back side because my backs of the artist trading cards are often very messy, and when I stamp directly to them, I maybe cannot read what I am writing. So I do this on a separate sheet of paper and then I cut the paper out and adhere it to the back sides. The set also contains a backside for an artist trading coin, and it has separate stamps for the titles. It says artist, materials, date, tools, contact, supplies. I am not 100% sure which words are all on the set, but I will link it up in the description box. That was my video for today, and I hope you enjoyed it and maybe you like to create your own artist trading cards. Have a wonderful day. Bye!